first ever People's Health Assembly, along with 1,500 participants who lived, ate, talked, discussed people's health matters for 5 days. The programme was a mix of testimonies from people at the grassroots about their lives and an analysis of the global and national economic and political structures which impacted on people's health. And I know that there are many of you around the world today, and I'd invite you all to put into chat where you're joining us from, just to say hello, say which circle you belong to or why you're interested in PHM, and we can all join ourselves like that. Back to PHA1, it really was the event of a lifetime. If you weren't there, just imagine all these committed people, buildings still being completed, activists seeing their dreams come true with having the first People's Health Assembly, and the GK staff and local women ensured we were housed, fed, and there was an excited buzz in the air for 5 days. And of course, 2000 was a really auspicious year for us, because it was in 1978 that WHO said we should achieve health for all. That, of course, didn't happen. And activists around the world believed that the World Health Assembly had lost touch with people's voices and needs, hence the need for a PHA1. The event was planned by a founding network of the People's Health Movement, and that included the International People's Health Council, Consumer International, Health Action International, the Third World Network, Action, which is the Asian Community Health Action Network, the Women's Global Network for Reproductive Rights, the Dag Hammarskjöld Foundation, and GK, which is a community health development program in Bangladesh. So the PHA1 was planned over a number of years, but most intensively in the year leading up to PHA1. And activists around the world planned for the event and contributed to drafting the People's Health Charter, which was adopted during PHA1. On a sad note, I'd like to acknowledge our comrades who were very much part of the initial planning and who have since died. Dr. Bala from Sri Lanka was such a guiding light. Amit Sen, who's been central to every People's Health Assembly since 2000 and has driven the movement with his sharp intellect. And he died so shortly after PHA3 when he drowned when he was having a well-deserved holiday after the assembly. And finally, David Sanders, who's fought for social justice all his life and whose vision was vital in inspiring PHM and has been a mentor for so many of us. He certainly left a big hole in our hearts when he died in August 2019. At GK, we planted trees, and it was a real pleasure to be back at GK in November in 2019. And we saw how those trees had grown and created a forest. And I think it's in a kind of a living metaphor for what has happened to PHM itself over the last 20 years. From those seeds planted in Savar, we have become a worldwide movement, which I think continually inspires people. Since then, we've had global secretariats in Bangladesh, India, Egypt, South Africa, and now again in India. And tonight you'll hear from some of our past coordinators. Now we have circles in 80 countries. We run an International People's Health University. We watch WHO. We publish a Global Health Watch. We've got active circles on trade, nutrition, food sovereignty, ecosystems, gender and justice, and on war, migration and health. And you'll also hear about our inspiring strategic plan that was developed through a participatory process. So in short, we're a vibrant, committed, passionate movement fighting for health equity. And at each PHA, song and music and celebration has been an important element, so we can celebrate our successes and build our courage to continue our struggles. So I'm very happy that the first item on the agenda is for us to hear 2 songs which are intended to incite people to action for justice. Now, on Zoom, only one person can sing, but we invite you, you will be muted, but we invite you to sing along in any case. The first song I'll introduce is Bella Ciao, which translates as Goodbye Beautiful. And it's going to be sung by Chiara Bodini, who's a previous chair of the People's Health Movement. And it's an Italian protest folk song that originated in the 19th century and has now become an anthem of the anti-fascist movement around the world, but starting in the Second World War in the Italian resistance. And Chiara and her Italian colleagues have really always inspired us singing this song. So I'll invite you, Chiara. You're very brave to sing your song over Zoom. Chiara.
Thank you, Fran. Thank you, everybody. So here goes the song, and it's been very important also for me to share it at the assemblies and at the PHM gatherings. And it's also sung in different languages in the world, but I will sing it in Italian. Okay, so I hope you can all join me. Oh, let's wait for the lyrics. Okay. Okay, here we go. Una mattina mi sono alzato. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Una mattina mi sono alzato e ho trovato l'invasor. Oh partigiano, portami via. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, 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 partigiano, portami via, che mi sento di morir. E se io muoio da partigiano, oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, 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 e se io muoio da partigiano, tu mi devi seppellir e seppellire lassù in montagna. Oh, questo è il fiore del partigiano. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, 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 e questo è il fiore del partigiano morto per la libertà.
Wow, fantastic, Chiara. Thank you so much. That's really fantastic. Lots of appreciations are coming through in chat saying brilliant, bravo, fantastic, mille grazie. Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. Okay, our second song is Tu Zinda Hai, You Are Alive, which will be sung by Abhiti and Ritika of Sama and JSA, the People's Health Movement in India. And again, it's a popular Hindu song that was written as part of the freedom movement. So it's an anti-colonial song, and it's a call to action for change and expressing the belief that we will win, our struggle will be successful. And it's sung at many progressive movements in India, and including, of course, JSA. And I understand the first two lines are translated as if you are alive, believe in the victory of life. If there are heavens somewhere, bring them down to earth. So over to you, Abhita and Ritika. Thank you.
Thank you, Fran. So we'll begin. तू जिंदा है, तू जिंदा है, तू जिंदगी की जीत में यकीन कर. अगर कहीं है स्वर्ग तो उतार ला जमीन पर. तू जिंदा है, ये गम के और 4 दिन, सितम के और 4 दिन. ये दिन भी जाएंगे, गुजर गुजर गए 1000 दिन. ये गम के और 4 दिन, सितम के और 4 दिन. ये दिन भी जाएंगे, गुजर गुजर गए 1000 दिन. कभी तो होगी इस चमन पे भी बहार की नजर. अगर कहीं है स्वर्ग तो उतार ला जमीन पर. तू जिंदा है, तू जिंदा है, तू जिंदगी की जीत में यकीन कर. अगर कहीं है स्वर्ग तो उतार ला जमीन पर. तू जिंदा है, हमारे कारवां को मंजिलों का इंतजार है. ये आंधियों ये बिजलियों की पीठ पर सवार है. हमारे कारवां को मंजिलों का इंतजार है. ये आंधियों ये बिजलियों की पीठ पर सवार है. तू आ कदम मिला के चल, चलेंगे एक साथ हम, अगर कहीं है स्वर्ग तो उतार ला जमीन पर। तू जिंदा है, तू जिंदा है, तू जिंदगी की जीत में यकीन कर, अगर कहीं है स्वर्ग तो उतार ला जमीन पर। तू जिंदा है।
The people united shall always be victorious. The people united shall always be victorious. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. Long live People's Health Movement.
Way, fantastic. Thank you so much. That was a brilliant song. And I love the call to action at the end. That was really fantastic. Thank you so much. And I'm looking at the chat and I noticed that we've just noticed there's so many nice comments about all the songs. Everybody's enjoying them very much. I'd like to make a special mention of someone who we've just seen in the chat isn't able to join us tonight. And that's Safula Chowdhury, who really was the person who chaired and really ran the first People's Health Assembly. And apparently he has, true to form, been at demonstrations all day and now isn't able to join us. But his wife, Shireen, is here and I'm sure she will pass on our good wishes. All right, well, my next task is to introduce Dr. Suwit, who's had a long career in the Ministry of Health in Thailand, and he's a long-term friend of PHM. He's ensured that we've been able to participate in the Prince Mahadol conference for many years, and that's meant that the PHM has been able to have an annual steering council meeting. He has a really long career and a deep understanding of health policy, including representing Thailand at the WHO World Health Assembly on many occasions. And the steering committee of PHM could think of no one more appropriate to provide a friendly outsider's perspective on PHM's achievement. So over to you, Dr. Suwit.
Thank you so much, Fran, for the nice but brief introduction. I would like to congratulate PHM 20 years. When I hear and know PHM since about 15 years ago, I never think that this network will last for 20 years. I feel that it may not last that long. But the network has proved itself. And I really like the term PHM, People Health Movement. The three words all are very valuable and meaningful. People, are we the real people on the ground? Or are we just the representative of the people? Or call ourselves the representative of the people? This is very important. We need active citizens in the word people, not just any people, active citizens. And we can find active citizens in the civil society organization, in the community, everywhere. It is these people that really can move the world, but they have to be committed. As Margaret Mead said, we must not underestimate the capability of a few committed people to change the world. It is indeed them that really did change the world. So people here would mean committed, active citizens. Committed for what? Committed for health. And this term is very, very well understood in the PHM than in the World Health Assembly, than anywhere in the world. For example, the World Health Organization Constitution mentioned that health is well-being, not merely the absence of disease and infirmity, right? We all know. Physical, mental, and social well-being, complete physical, mental, social well-being. But how does WHO measure health? They measure disease and infirmity. The excellent example is the burden of disease. They measure health problem from the burden of disease. The challenge should be how to make sure that people has well-being in all three dimensions. Actually, it should be four, including spiritual dimension of health. This issue used to be raised and accepted at the executive board, but due to political reason, this fourth dimension disappeared, never reached the World Health Assembly. Now the third word, movement. Movement is in contrast to establishment. Movement is vibrant, dynamic. You see life. Establishment is static, bureaucratic. Like the World Health Organization, all the UN system are establishment. Of course, we need both movement and establishment. We need more movement like People Health Movement, which we see so many influential and active civil society organizations around the world. But People Health Movement is the civil society organizations that cut across all civil society organizations. Most active civil society organizations are quite specific. For example, those on HIV/AIDS, they are mainly on specific disease. But People Health Movement are interested in all dimensions of well-being. It is the spirit of the great founders, those that Fran has mentioned their name. I know people like David Sanders. I know people like Zulfikar Chowdhury. They are my teacher. They are my mentor. I knew them when I was just maybe in the early or mid-30s. A young doctor, public health doctor who know nothing about global health. They didn't teach me in class, but they teach me on how they speak, what they speak, and how they behave in global health. David used to tell me when I asked him long ago about all the establishment in health, in global health, because as a new global health or public health doctor who entered into global health, I was very confused about the role of all the global health organization. So he told me that very easy, Dr. Suwit. If you want to know anything, you don't want to do something, just want to know, you go to the World Health Organization. They know everything but do nothing because they are technical agency. Now, if you want to act, if you want to do something, you go to UNICEF. UNICEF is an implementing agency. They do everything, but they know nothing. They use the knowledge from technical agencies like WHO. Then I asked him, then what if I want to know and to do at the same time? Oh, you should go to the bank. The World Bank know everything and do everything. But be careful. Most of the time they are wrong. And this is how I learned. And later on, from my first-hand experience, I can confirm that what he told me is fully true, fully true. And it is him who challenged this organization many times. It helped me to understand that, oh, these organizations are not God. As a young doctor from rural developing country, rural area of developing country, we always regard these organizations as God. Whatever they say is correct. We listen and we do. Until I learned later on, first from David Sanders, and later on from my own experience, that I was wrong, damn wrong. Okay, even worse, one of the DG of the WHO, Dr. J.W. Lee, told me, you should know that there's another organization, UNDP. I said, what? He said, UNDP know nothing and do nothing, does nothing, because they are advocate. They don't generate knowledge. Their role is to advocate for development, including health development. Okay. Now I ask myself, I never dare to ask David Sanders, then what is PHM? What is PHM? After 15 years that I have been engaged with PHM, although not involved actively in the work of PHM, but I engage, I observe what and how PHM work. I have my conclusion. This is PHM. PHM knows the right thing, does the right thing, say the right thing on global health, afraid of no global establishment agency. And PHM is an organization with strong spirit and has nothing to lose. When you have nothing to lose, you dare to do anything. You are afraid of no one. PHM does not have money to lose. France doesn't have any position to lose. Ravi doesn't have any position to lose. Unlike Tedros, he's afraid of being sacked from the DG. He wants more money to feed his organization. PHM move on with small money. So this is my conclusion. Finally, my conclusion is PHM will never lose its spirit on global public health. Now, I'll be very brief. After 20 years, what are the challenges of PHM now? Some of you may feel that the PHM main challenge is you have no money. I don't think so. I don't think so. Money is everywhere. You'll never have enough money. Never. You look at the World Health Organization. This year, World Health Organization mobilized a lot of money. They have trouble spending it because most of the work of the WHO is convening meeting, travel. With COVID, only tele or virtual meeting. They have a lot of money left over. They want to give it to country. If you ask money from the WHO, they immediately give you now because they have trouble spending it. I know because I have some people spy inside WHO after 20 years working with them. Okay, so your challenge, our challenge, because I consider myself part of PHM, although not an active member. which I never want to be an active member. Why we have so many good active members? I should be a good supporter. Not financial challenge. The first challenge is to mobilize new generation leader. New generation leader. I saw 2 new generation leader today singing excellent song. I understand that they are from India, right? We need more of this new generation leader. But these new generation leaders, they need time to mature. They need time and good mentor to build up their capacity. Mentor like Fran, mentor like Chowdhury, mentor like Lavi, and many others. Without mentor who has high wisdom, very high wisdom, very high social capital, networking, this young generation leader will gradually fade away. But with very strong spiritual mentor, they will gradually grow up. Mentor will also give them protection in case they fall into any trouble. Mentor has connection everywhere that can protect them. So we need more new generation leaders. That's why when David passed away, when I think about him, I know I want to do something for him. So we create a fund to bring new generation PHM leader to join, to get involved in Prince Moidon Award Conference. It's a pity the first year we faced COVID, so we cannot bring all of them here to Bangkok. Not just to see or to have tour of Bangkok, but to get actively involved in the work on global health. Actively involved in the work on global health. Thanks to the commitment of senior of PHM who engaged with Prince Moidon Award Conference from the first year. You have been the member of the organizing committee from the first year. I hope that in the future, when the senior go to the organizing committee, they can bring one young generation leader with them. Of course, you can use the David Sanders Fund. Second challenge of PHM is to expand to active citizens all over. I think we are still facing that challenge. We have faced that challenge for a long, long time. Now we have the power of social media. New generation should be very good at using social media. You look at the President Trump, he tweets every day. And he reached his supporter every day. Whatever the information is correct or not, but he catch the heart of his supporter. How can new generation PHM leaders use this social media to reach the people in their own country and around the world? This kind of social network is the real people. And if you can create network of PHM within each country, community, and they moved in their community, in their country, it will be a big global movement. 20 years in global health, I see the change in global health governance. I see the change from governance by state only and market governance to governance by participation. We see NGOs, civil society organizations, private sector, private foundations in the governing board of big global health institutes like Gavi Global Fund and many global health partnership organizations. Some of them, PHM, represent the civil society organization. These are the facts that we have seen. And this has threatened the establishment. They don't like it. They don't want anyone to ask them questions, to challenge them. They don't want people who are not afraid of them. They don't want people who have nothing to lose to challenge them. That's how I learned from people like David Sanders and People Health Movement leaders. That's how I learned geopolitics in global health. That's how people like me, who is a civil servant, and retired now, but still linked to the public health agencies. That's how I learned that I can speak in the global forum, speak up. And that's how I learned that I can challenge them, because rich country or even big private sector are using them as a tool to control or manipulate developing countries to do or to move based on their interest. That's why we are the delegate from Thailand, always use the People Health Movement summary of each agenda of the World Health Assembly. You are like the parallel people report for the World Health Assembly to understand the politics behind which we cannot get from the technical report from the Secretariat. And this helped us a lot in the negotiation, in forming our intervention. My last point, no, not last point, the third one, the third challenge. PHM may need to move its movement from UN agency, from establishment agency to more global forum. PMAC, Prince William Award Conference, is one, but there are others that PHM should find ways to get involved, those that are influential, including even Davos, even G7, G8, World Health Summit, World Innovation Summit, whatever. But how can you go there? That's the question, that's the challenge. How can PHM representative that go there can represent the movement? How can you push the new generation leader to be the speaker instead of usually senior leader, the speaker? When I'm asked to go as a speaker to any global conference, I always put the condition that if you want me, you have to pay for one of my junior. And if they give me 15 minutes, my junior will speak for 12 minutes. I speak 3 minutes. This is how we build up the courage of the junior people to grow up in global health. So look at other global forum rather than UN. Last challenge is to maintain people health movement as a movement. Avoid moving into an establishment which members will stay in their comfort zone. If you stay in the comfort zone, you will never change. If you want to change the world, you have to continue to be movement. As I said, my final words, people health movement need the vibrant, dynamic energy from young generation, need the protection, the wisdom, and social support from the senior generation together. I wish you, if I still live on, I wish to see you in the next 10 years, next 20 years. Thank you so much, Fran.
That was fantastic, Dr. Suwit. It was really good. I mean, I loved your analysis of the people power movement, of how we use a holistic definition and dimensions of health, and your very, very good, quick analysis of global power relations and who's got power. But I think what I liked most was you talking about our spirit and how we've got nothing to lose. And because of that, we'll never lose our spirit. And I think that's very insightful. Yeah, you said we know the right things, we do the right things, we say the right things, and we're not afraid to say them. And I think all members of PHM would agree with that. And one of the things we certainly have done in the last years is we are mobilizing a new generation of leaders, and you yourself have already seen that. We bring some of those people to PMAC. And I think your idea of ensuring that whenever one of the elders speaks, then we should always have a young person is a very good idea. So thank you so much for joining us from Bangkok. And also thank you for the way that you've enabled PMAC to support the movement over the years, because that's been so important for bringing us together. And I do know that when you said that we don't need any money, I could hear David Sanders saying, I don't think you're quite right that we do need some money. I could just hear him saying that to you very clearly. So thank you very much. And yes, we hope when we have our 30th anniversary, you can join us again. That would be fantastic. So thank you. Now, the other thing I've noticed in the chat is that it looks like we're going to have a PHM album. So I hope somebody volunteers. Dave McCoy has suggested that. And I hope that we can make that a real PHM music album, and people have already volunteered their songs, so we can have a global album that we could release, certainly maybe even on YouTube. So that's a great idea coming out of the chat. All right, well, our next speaker, I'm very happy to introduce Ravi Narayan. And Ravi, of course, was the second PHM Global Coordinator, the last time that the PHM Secretariat was in India. And he's going to introduce a video of the history of PHM. And we owe a great thanks to the team at SOCRA for making it. You'll see that it's a really fantastic video. And Ravi is working and encouraging young people at SOCRA to be the new generation for PHM. But Ravi, of course, was one of the founders of PHM, and he has worked tirelessly for health justice over the whole of his career. So over to you, Ravi, to introduce the video.
Thanks, Fran. It's great to be here today with all of you from all over the world, and to be able to see old friends like Fran and Maria and others, and Zafrullah, whom we can't see, but I've been watching the chat, and there are so many more of that generation, the elder generation that Suvit has just talked about. And it's nice to see a friend like Suvit. And I still remember the chat we had 5 years, as he said, after we had started, and we discussed about PHM. He was quite skeptical at that time, but I'm so happy to hear what he said today. Today, I'm going to just share with you quickly the background to this video. Already Fran has said a very nice introduction. And I think it's very important to remember that though we all start with 2000 at Savar, Actually, the inspiration for this started many, many years ago. And for many of us, it's even before Alma-Ata. As I look back and I hear of Zafrullah and Maria and all of us, we were all dreamers at that time. For me, it's reaching my 50th year next year. And I started in the East Pakistan refugee camps in 1971. And Zafrullah was across the border in the forests of Tripura with the Mukti Bahini. We met many years later, but it was all of us who were really not only inspired but endorsed by Alma-Ata. And for 22 years, many of us through various international networks and also at national and local level, and Fran has mentioned some of that, worked towards health for all, making it a reality. But by 2000 AD, we realized, and that is how the PHM came. So it didn't just come as an assembly when 1,500 people from 75 countries and 17 state delegations from India gathered in Savar, but it was a huge sort of a convergence of enthusiasm, initially disappointment, but I think I still remember that the first said we were protagonists of a new movement. And so we all gathered. We have tried to capture in this video, it's really a photo journey. It's not really a history, because in 15 minutes it's very difficult to capture a history. But we have just tried to capture the things that Suvit and Fran have already talked about: the spirit of the movement, the celebration, the collectivity, the solidarity, and the diversity. And we hope that you will all enjoy this video. It's really just a start of a work in progress. For the last few years, I've been working on the archives of the movement, and we're slowly trying to build up. With great difficulty, we've managed to get about 34 countries represented in this video. We want to reach 80, that Fran has said, but that will take a little time, and we need all of you to send us more material. The focus is on celebration and on collective solidarity, which is really the spirit of the movement. And we have a beautiful message which we discovered, and I shall not say more about it, from Haftan Mala, which also is part of this video. So before I end and ask them to start the video, I want to remember various stalwarts and colleagues. I'm not going to name all of them, but from all over the world who have been so instrumental in doing their little bit. Fran has mentioned a few, but there are so many more. And I hope that the younger generation will get to know about them and be inspired by their lives and experience. Maybe we'll make another video about the old comrades and colleagues who've moved on, and many who have now grown old but are there to still inspire. Finally, I would like to say that I'm very happy. I had also decided to underline this issue, that what we need now in the 20th year is to find this new generation. And I must say that ever since the last meeting in Savar, I have seen that this is really becoming a reality. And today I hope that through social networking and through videos like the one you're just going to see, and many, many more such videos that are already available in the social networks, thanks to young people and their sort of enthusiasm for social networking, we will have lots more young people join. So as I reach 50th year of my journey, I look forward to being able to continue to tell these stories through videos and other things. So enjoy the video and join us all to make Health for All a reality. I would like to thank my Sochara team, the team of 5 of us who worked very hard. I was only just trying to keep the story together, but Prasanna and Swami and Abu and Samar and Suresh, all of us have really put a lot of time together, but we hope you will really enjoy it. So over to you, Fran. Thanks.
the first week in December, delegates from over 90 countries attended the People's Health Assembly. Appalled by the state of the world's health, they came to debate what should be done. This mime from the Philippine delegation lampoons the multinational companies that wean overworked mothers off breastfeeding and onto synthetic baby milk. As the People's Health Assembly, much was made of local health stories, told by the people themselves.
The attainment of the highest possible level of health and well-being is a fundamental human right, regardless of a person's color, ethnic background, religion, gender, age, abilities, sexual orientation, or class.
Ambos paz.
Cape Town, South Africa, the 5th of July, 2012. The activists of the People's Health Movement are finalizing the preparation of the 3rd People's Health Assembly. The last part of the assembly gives space to some positive experiences where health activists decided to take initiatives to make health accessible. They believe that participation of all is necessary. Even children can be a motor for change, as this workshop teaches us. On the final day, a march is organized. Over 1,000 people fill the streets of Cape Town demanding health for all.
chair in the heart of Geneva symbolizes the cause of the landmine victims all over the world. And it is this very spot that the People's Health Assembly delegates chose to focus the global health crisis. The People's Health Movement, a participatory process of health NGOs from 92 countries, which began in Dhaka in 2000, came to the 55th General Assembly to present their People's Health Charter.
The People's Health Charter very clearly states that health is not a biomedical issue, that it's a much deeper social, economic, political and cultural issue, and health is a basic human right. And therefore we need to relocate all that we do with World Health Organization, all our governments and our NGO work in that broader context.
The People's Health Movement, which has once again raised the slogan of health as a basic right, has been noticed, and this is the first time that they were formally invited to the annual WHO meet.
After 2 decades of negotiating, setting up several working groups, evaluating and passing resolutions, it is now time to congratulate WHO and all member states for years of hard work.
The issue of delinking the cost of research and development from the end prices of health technologies has not been adequately addressed, and there is a mere mention of a code of principles being under consideration.
We compliment WHO for promoting access to assistive devices and technology, social welfare, assistive devices and technology, early intervention, adequate rehabilitation and health services, and inclusive and enabling environments are basic rights for people with disabilities, elderly, and caregivers.
You know very well, as many others know, that I have a love affair with People's Movement, which is very, very profound. Started in Bangladesh 8 or 9 years ago, and after that, People's Health Movement is the one single movement that have been struggling to try to revitalize the message coming out of Alma-Ata in its most profound way. Not only the few lines about priorities, but the whole concept of people's own participation as individual families, as communities. You have shown one can mobilize people at all levels in order to somehow fight for their own health and well-being.
Well, thank you so much to everyone at Soccer who made that. It was an amazing video. It was really inspiring to remind ourselves of all those wonderful moments, and to see Halfdan Mahler, because he, of course, he was the director of WHO when the Alma-Ata Declaration was drawn up, and he joined us in Bangladesh 20 years ago, and always, right to the end of his life, remained a great supporter of ours. And, you know, seeing many of our colleagues in that video was really inspiring. For me, one of my best memories, I always say it's the best meal I've ever had, was sharing food with the indigenous people in Cuenca, when we had this wonderful feast of about 20 or 30 types of potato. It was just amazing, and there was a shot of that. So thank you so much to the Soccer team. It was really a brilliant video, and I can see how we can add to that. And it was very nice that you also had the music in it as well. That was fantastic. So thank you. Now our next, I'm pleased now to move on to think about where are we going in the future with PHM. And actually this year we spent a lot of time thinking about that. We were able to meet at the time of the PMAC conference in Bangladesh earlier in the year before COVID hit. And we started a process of strategic planning, which then has become a participatory process, aided by Lexi Bambra and Ravi Ram. They helped us through that process. And I'm really pleased now to introduce the co-chair, my co-chair of the Global Steering Council of PHM, Shalakshana Nandi, who recently completed a PhD at the University of the Western Cape in South Africa, which of course is the School of Public Health that David Sanders, together with his colleagues there, founded. And I know that he's told me that after he met Shalakshana, he definitely saw this was the new generation of leaders, and he was very right. So she's an amazing asset for the movement, and I'm really pleased to introduce Shalakshana to tell you more about the strategic plan and give you an idea of how you can join with us in the future. Over to you, Shalakshana.
Yeah, thanks so much, Fran. I hope I'm being heard properly. So greetings to all. I will speak to you about the strategic plan that we've just developed, and it lays out PHM's goals and strategies for the next 5 years. The plan draws upon PHM's work, along with there was an extensive participatory process of discussion, interviews, written feedbacks, and inputs from health activists, both within and outside of the movement. And I'm sure that, many of you would have contributed to this. People contributed their perspectives and understanding on what PHM could do better, what are the strengths and resources of PHM, and what more can PHM do, keeping our original vision of the People's Charter for Health, and also taking on new challenges. And a big thanks to Ravi Ram and Lexi Nolan, who facilitated the process. The plan is available on the PHM website, and I'll share the link after my presentation. So we see the strategic plan as responding to the global context of the struggle for health over the last about 10 years, which has included, continuing threat to comprehensive primary health care, privatization of health services under various guises, shrinking of welfare and universal access to public services, the growing climate crisis, worsening conflicts and displacements, emergence of anti-democratic forces and authoritarian and fascist governments, growing power of corporations, including in global governance institutions, and the global economic crisis, high employment, unemployment, increased food insecurity, and other challenges that have been exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic too. But at the same time, there has been a growing and vocal people's movement around the world focused on responding to these issues and bringing in a newer, younger generation into activism. The Me Too movement, Black Lives Matter, protests by farmers, workers, all over the world, pro-democracy movements led by the youth, anti-privatization struggles across sectors of health, water, land, and climate justice movement are just some examples. So even in these dark times, one is optimistic that, we will bring about change, and there is resistance, and people are not giving up. And especially when we are here together, struggling for this. So it is within this larger context that the plan has been developed, and it is a continuation of PHM's work, and it sets out ways that our work can be made more effective and that we are able to bring in more people into the movement in the near future. And as I mentioned before, the People's Charter for Health remains the guiding vision for the strategic plan with a new lens for the coming 5 years. And we hope to use this strategic plan to unite activists across the movement from country circles, regions, networks, and global programs. So PHM's actions are implemented through 5 social movement strategies. And these strategies are implemented through global programs such as the Global Health Watch, the WHO Watch, the International People's Health University. So the first goal in the strategic plan that we set out for ourselves is advancing the Health for All agenda through key social movement strategies. One of the global programs is the Health for All campaign that involves the work of the thematic circles that includes the Equitable Health System Circle, Environment and Ecosystem, Nutrition and Food Sovereignty, Gender Justice and Health, Trade and Health, War, Conflict, Occupation, Forced Migration and Health. So the second goal that we have set for ourselves is renewing the Health for All campaign through thematic areas. So these 2 goals, advancing the Health for All agenda through the key social movement strategies and renewing the Health for All campaign through the thematic areas are interconnected and are synergistic. So within these 2 goals, the strategic plan lays out our long-term visions and short-term goals, which I will go very briefly in, and you can read it further in the document. So this includes increasing power through movement building, through strong active country circles, and strong thematic groups, creating social change through campaigns and advocacy, strengthening the Health for All campaign, and also expanding it to multiple regions and countries, expanding the base of strong advocates through capacity building, having a group of young people, network, trained volunteers who share PHM values in more and more country circles who can intervene on health rights, spreading PHM's vision through analysis and knowledge dissemination, undertaking publications, and disseminating them through electronic social media, analyzing things from a political economy perspective and health equity perspective, and also additionally documenting struggles and also of alternatives and solutions. The 5th one is on global and national policy change through global governance, the work we do with the WHO and other global institutions. But we also want, the goal is also to have activists in most country circles who are aware of the politics of the key global health governance institutions. So the goal for renewing Health for All campaign through thematic areas includes goals and vision for advancing equitable health systems, advocating for a just global trade playing field, ensuring nutrition and food sovereignty, the imperative of environment and ecosystem and health, which involves increased grassroots voice and activism within PHM to include more voices that expand beyond, a European or, a global North perspective, and greater voice and activism among the younger generation, women and indigenous people within PHM. Then a focus on gender justice and health, and building advocacy around war, conflict, occupation, forced migration, and health, in which PHM is recognized, our goal is, and a vision is that PHM is recognized as an important voice for healthcare rights of victims of war, refugees, stateless persons, and migrants. And also we highlight and advocate decreased militarization of public health. These goals, as set out in our strategic plan, will be advanced through 9 strategies and policy actions. So the first set of actions involves activism through knowledge and inspiration. In that, the priority action, firstly, is to nurture a new generation of activists, something that my previous speakers have also talked about a lot. And so the action that we intend to undertake is to expand PHM's range of capacity building programs, the IPHUs, to reach more countries, more people, to make that available, make the material available to whoever wants it, and to strengthen its curriculum. Our priority action 2 is to reignite social and political consciousness for health. So this is located within the Health for All campaign, where the groups, whether it's country circles or regions, they converge into the thematic groups that form the Health for All campaign. So we hope to use the strategic plan to launch and to re-energize the thematic circles and also strengthen its coordination. Priority action 3 for us is demonstrate optimism as a powerful act of political resistance. So as you all know, the current global context can be quite challenging and daunting, especially for younger activists. And there is need for a sort of a more inspirational vision and alternatives to be set out in order to complement the critique of the present systems that we always do. So in the actions, we intend to actively highlight and promote solutions and alternatives that go beyond problems and analysis and theory to real solutions that motivate people, and also support a sense of belonging among old and new PHM activists through sharing songs, slogans that have been previously used, and also introducing new ones to build solidarity through the generations of PHM activists. The second set of actions are around power through solidarity. In that, the priority action is one, to converge with other social movements and support inclusionary structures and processes. So we intend to pursue convergence with other like-minded social movements and promote more inclusionary processes and structures through more participation from our partner organizations and more active communication between us. Priority action 5 is supporting each other through resource mobilization. As you all know, all of you, we have been, you have been volunteers with PHM, and PHM has a large pool of volunteers, and to ensure that they're effectively called upon, PHM will work towards developing a database so that we are able to call upon specific people for specific expertise on a regular basis. In this, there is also Bridget also wrote in chat, and even Fran explained what, David's voices come to the ear. I mean, one needs funds also to maintain some level of activity and, some level of work. So there is a need to develop a comprehensive funding strategy, and we hope to use the strategic plan to develop proposals for funding. And we would require a fundraising committee and others who can contribute to this thinking on funds and resource mobilization. And you're welcome, to contribute to that thought. And I also want to introduce here the concept of Friends of PHM, in which we are welcoming people, comrades, friends of PHM as individuals to contribute financially to PHM. We will circulate it subsequently, I think through all our regular channels. But this is a request and a call for that initiative that we have started. So the third set of priority actions are around social change through mobilization and coordination. And in that, the first priority action is to balance responsiveness to new challenges with the focus goals and our planning. So we intend that PHM's planning process would regularly develop goal-focused annual work plans, yearly review of progress, participatory renewal of the strategic plan through the People's Health Assemblies that are going to be held. and this work will be supported by the Secretariat and the various governance structures. Additionally, the governance structures would remain vigilant to new priority areas, incorporate any emerging issues in the plans and the activities. So priority action 7 is to develop and broaden strong advocacy to better advance global governance for health. So in addition to the work we do with WHO, with the focus on WHO, we need to extend the WHO watch activities to build more capacities in different countries so that they are able to contribute and build a synergy between country level and global level work on global governance. The second last, or the 8th priority action, is to continue to clarify, strengthen PHM structures, processes, and roles. And we hope to develop a PHM handbook and support more vertical and horizontal collaboration on PHM structures. Priority action 9, which is the last one, is to build coordination and communication systems for a 21st century global social movement, which involves ensuring that all our social media, our website, our communication channels work effectively. There is an issue of multiple languages, and there's a beauty in that, but it can also become exclusionary if you're talking in one language. So how to develop a multilingual kind of a platform. It also requires financial resources, so those are some of the barriers which are there. And to end, the plan is finally what we make of it, how we use it. So let us take the plan and make it a living document which guides the work of a collective movement and a country circles and thematic groups. So let us do whatever we can to achieve a better world that we all envision towards a more equitable, just and caring world. Thank you. Zindabad.
That was fantastic, Sulochana. You've really laid out where we're going, and it is a very ambitious plan. But I think with the commitment and inspiration we've got, we will be able to live up to both the spirit that's in the plan and also the very concrete proposals. And just to give people an idea of how that large plan then translates to what a region might do, we're going to hear next from Pacum Tometisi. He has made a video because, of course, one of the global inequities is that the bandwidth that is available in West Africa just isn't as good as in other parts of the world. But Pacum has made a video talking about their plans in West Africa. So we'll have a look at that now.
Just an announcement, Pacum would be speaking in French, so English speakers can tune into the English channel on interpretation as well. Thank you.
Bienvenue en Afrique de l'Ouest et du Centre. Les 20 ans, l'Afrique de l'Ouest et du Centre partagent le choix réel dans la longue marche de PHM pour un monde plus juste et plus intelligent. Alors, la déclaration stratégique de l'UNPS en Afrique de l'Ouest et du Centre n'est pas dissociable de la déclaration de la PHR4, notamment dans ses priorités thématiques, ses priorités stratégiques. C'est une adaptation de la déclaration qui est une suite de la charte, une suite de toutes les autres déclarations de toutes les autres assemblées depuis 2000 et qui tient compte du contexte de l'Afrique de l'Ouest et du Centre. Vous savez, l'Afrique de l'Ouest et du Centre a une forte dominance francophone. Alors, l'actualité, l'environnement, le macro-environnement, le micro-environnement, aussi bien au niveau de l'Afrique de l'Ouest que de l'Afrique centrale, montrent que les priorités thématiques sont presque les mêmes. Il y a les inégalités avec les barrières linguistiques, il y a beaucoup de francophones qui sont pratiquement exclus quand on fait le tout anglais, le tout en anglais. Alors, vous savez que outre l'Organisation mondiale de la santé, il n'existe aucune organisation régionale de santé regroupant l'ensemble des États, ni en Afrique de l'Ouest, ni en Afrique centrale. L'héritage colonial a créé un lien entre les regroupements monétaires et la santé qui existe encore. Du coup, on a un regroupement de santé en Afrique de l'Ouest et un autre regroupement en Afrique centrale. Et les deux regroupements-là sont nourris par les deux unions monétaires du CFA. Donc le travail au niveau de l'Afrique de l'Ouest centre consistera à faire un lobbying au niveau de ces organismes régionaux. Alors, le lobbying va consister notamment à faire de la recherche activiste et à attirer l'attention des leaders politiques de toutes ces organisations, les amener à jouer un rôle fondamental dans l'atteinte de la santé pour tous. Et je disais tantôt que le plan stratégique n'est pas dissociable de la déclaration de la PHA 4, de la stratégie du niveau international également. Donc les stratégies sont les mêmes. On a les IPHU et nous les utilisons pour faire du framing, aider les gens à changer leur discours, à apprendre sur la gouvernance de la santé. Donc, par exemple, en 2021, nous prévoyons d'avoir une série de IPHU au RD Congo, au Bénin, au Cameroun, au Mali, etc., afin de mettre plus de jeunes dans la danse de la lutte de la santé. C'est vrai qu'il y a de plus en plus un engagement au niveau des jeunes et nous avons pensé qu'il fallait renforcer cela. Il y a également la recherche militante et les plaidoyers régionaux. Donc, nous avons prévu une série de documents d'orientation sur le genre, sur le commerce et la santé, etc. Et, comme je l'ai précisé, nous allons faire le lobbying des organisations régionales, CDAO, l'UMOA, l'OAS, qui est l'Organisation de santé en Afrique de l'Ouest, et également l'Organisation de coordination des grandes endémies en Afrique centrale. Et toutes ces organisations ont un agenda qui devrait pouvoir intégrer l'approche basée sur les droits humains. Au niveau régional également, nous avons prévu faire de la communication, de la mobilisation de l'ensemble des acteurs de la société civile, parce que nous pensons que cette lutte que le PHM mène depuis tant d'années devrait la continuer, mais tout en renforçant son effectif, ses stratégies, etc., en menant des alliances avec les autres organisations. Et un aspect qui est très important, c'est la documentation du droit de la santé dans la région. On doit mobiliser l'ensemble des acteurs, que ce soit les décideurs, la société civile, etc., les organisations régionales. Comme partout dans le monde, nous notons une montée de la tendance néolibérale qui embrigade la pensée unie positionne la santé comme semble regarde la pensée critique plutôt et positionne la santé comme une marchandise, hein, avec à la clé une prise de pouvoir du monde du secteur privé, toutes choses qui détruisent les institutions politiques traditionnelles. Je le vois dans presque tous les pays, hein, dans tous les partis politiques, les syndicats et autres. Et la tendance est partout. Vous avez la démocratie qui souffre un peu partout dans les pays. Et les autres questions, comme par exemple le VIH-Sida, l'accès aux médicaments de toutes les personnes vivant avec le VIH-Sida et toutes les autres maladies. Dans des pays économiquement très forts, comme la République démocratique du Congo ou le Nigeria, où il y a l'instabilité politique, le fondamentalisme religieux, etc. Heureusement, dans les pays comme le RD, le Congo, nous avons une forte équipe générale du Congo avec des centaines d'organisations nationales, au niveau local également, qui font un travail formidable depuis tant d'années. Et c'est cet ensemble d'engagement au niveau des cercles pays qui est fédéré dans la déclaration stratégique du BGM en Afrique de l'Ouest et du Centre.
Great. Thanks. Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you very much to Pakoum for giving us an idea of the plans in West Africa and also pointing out how big some of the issues are in countries like the Congo and Nigeria, and still the strong determination to keep struggling for better health. And thank you to the interpreters for struggling with that video, because I think it would have been very hard for you. Now, I got so carried away by the video of the last 20 years of PHM that I jumped over the speaker who should have gone after the video. And I'm very, very sorry about that. So we're now going back to have some reflections on the last 20 years of the PHM journey by our third global coordinator, Hani Sarag, who was the global coordinator when we were based in Egypt. And Hani has been at each of the People's Health Assembly, and he's been a continual and totally committed activist in PHM. And he's been absolutely crucial to shaping the movement, and particularly the work that he's done in the International People's Health University. So over to you, Hani. Hani?
You're muted, Hani. Hani, you're muted.
Muted.
Okay, do you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Now we
okay, I'm not sure if everybody sees the screen or I shared the screen. Okay, great. Thank you very much. This is very inspiring event. Thank you very much, Fran, and thank you, Sandra and the Secretariat to put this together. Just to start saying, PHM, since it's launched in Savar in 2000, it considers itself as an actor of change. And I just had two quotes from our charter and from the report of the Commission on Social Determinants of Health. And I think that these are very core values for PHM. Achieving health for all is possible now and possible every time, but it's not easy, because it means that powerful interests had to be challenged, and the neoliberal globalization has to be opposed, and we need a new economic order in the world. And that's why we need to continue struggling while celebrating our achievement. Also, the Commission said addressing social determinants of health means redistribution of money, power, and resources. And this is not going to be offered by any organizations from what Dr. Soet talked about, but it will be by people if they united and started to work for that.
Are you having trouble in changing the slides?
Well, yeah, it doesn't work. I don't know. It doesn't work very well. But anyway, during the last 20 years of PHM, I would like to focus on a few achievements. One of them, as Fran and many others said, the People's Health Assembly. We had 4 assemblies. It starts from Savar in 2000, then Cuenca in 2005, then South Africa, Cape Town in 2012, and Savar again in 2018. And the assemblies all the time works to get us together, to share analysis, to share successes, to share challenges, and more importantly for me personally is to get assured that we are not working alone. There are lots of people from all over the world who are working for the same purposes. And this is the strength of People's Health Assembly. Meanwhile, we have been using it as a tool to strategize for the upcoming 5 years. Moving to Global Health Watch, which is a great product of People's Health Movement and many other joint organizations. And would like here to thank David McCoy for his initiation for starting this huge project, and also for David Sanders, who has been one of the managing editors for all the previous Global Health Watches, and for Amit Sengupta at some time. He took over the production of it, and now Chiara and Ron Labonte. Thank you very much for all of them for the great work. And again, the Global Health Watch is an alternative World Health report. And I remember very well a few years, maybe with the Global Health 4, there was a request from our publisher to name it the alternative World Health Report. And we said, no, it's just one of them. It can be many other analyses around the world. So the Global Health Watch provide very concrete analysis that looks at things a little bit differently from what the World Report can do. And here again, getting back to what Dr. Soet said, we have nothing to lose. So we share our analysis very boldly. What I would like, and this is selection I talked about, in the future, the Global Health Watch will move to celebrate more struggles from the countries, from the regions, and provide a platform for sharing these experiences so it can share struggle from people and provide learning experiences for others. Move to International People's Health Assembly, and here I would recognize the huge effort that made by Dr. David Legg from Australia, from Maria Zuniga and many others to establish the International People's Health Assembly University, from which we have more than 1,200 alumni who completed these short trainings. We had more than 30 short trainings on political economy of health. Some of them are global, some regional, and some at country level. The first one ever was in Cuenca in 2005, just prior to the second People's Health Assembly. And I can see lots of people. I was a student in this university, and I have many colleagues who are participating here in this event. I would say that my own experience, that the International People's Health University worked very greatly to do exactly what Dr. Soet was talking about, to have the new generation of leadership. And I think this was a great success in many places, and I would recognize the current IPHU, which is virtual, because COVID-19 focusing on access to medicine. It's very timely because of the vaccine for COVID-19, and it is mostly in the Middle East. I'm very happy and very proud of the effort made by the Secretariat, and thank Garge and Kajal for the great work on it. Move to global health, democratizing global health democracy. And this, how this project started, it was not the focus for WHO, but WHO is just a start. We are stuck a little bit with WHO, but we hope to move towards more processes in the global decision making. And I think we made lots of successes in this program. Fran may agree with me that People's Health Movement contribute to the report of the Commission on Social Determinants of Health. There was a lot of influence. The movement took the lead of civil society mobilization with the Commission, mostly in all regions. And here I would remember many people. Mauricio is here with us today. He was leading the efforts in Latin America. Prem, John, very glad to see him today here with us. Thank you very much, Prem, for joining us. And Amit Sengupta, we're leading the effort in Asia. We've been leading efforts in Middle East, and David Sanders, Bridget, and others were leading the work in Africa. So it was all PHM who are working closely with the Commission to get higher voice of civil society, specifically the progressive movement. And I would see this in the future to start focusing more on direct engagement with the decision-making processes and watching it very closely. I think this is what I wanted to say. Along the last 20 years, it's been very inspiring for me, and I'm sure for many other people. And I'm very proud that the movement continued to grow this way and have presence in more than 80 countries right now. And also, we had lots of memories. Thank you very much, Ravi, for the video. It was really great, and I could read Sue in the chat saying this would bring tears to David Sanders' eyes. I think this is a case for everybody. Thank you very much, Fran.
That's fantastic, Hani. Thank you so much for those reflections and reminding us again of all the things that we've achieved over the last 20 years. That's really fantastic. So now we've had a look at our past, we've had a look at where we're going in the future, and now we're going to see messages from around the world. And Maria Zuniga is going to introduce the video. And when I was thinking about Maria, I thought that in many ways, Maria, you're the grandmother of our movement now, I think. You've been there from the beginning and before. And for those who don't know, Maria's based in Nicaragua, where she's been part of the struggle for health there, I think for more than 50 years. And she's been absolutely instrumental in founding PHM and one of our foundation networks, the International People's Health Council, which I think Maria and David formed in about 1990. And that really was one of the big movements that led to PHM. And all of us know that Maria has been championing the cause of PHM globally, but particularly in Latin America, always telling us how important interpretation and translation is and ensuring that we do that. And also just showing through her own huge commitment what an activist can do. So over to you, Maria.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you who are with us. Muchas gracias. Buenos días a mis compañeros y compañeras in Latinoamérica. I will be speaking in English, so I don't want to scare the interpreters, okay? It's really very emotional to see all these people who are here today, present with us, and think about the people who are not present. And in addition to David and Amit, I want to recognize Dr. Bala, and I also want to recognize Margarita Posada, who we lost this year, and who was so important for us in our movement in Latin America. She was also in the first IPHU there in Cuenca with Hani. And I also want to say to you that today we are praying for our colleague, our wonderful mentor, Julio Monsalvo, who is quite ill and who is on his way to join our other friends in that other dimension. So I want to really remember Julio, who has been so important for us in Latin America. I want you all to know that in Latin America, we are also going to have a celebration of the 20th anniversary of the People's Health Movement, but we will be having it in mid-January. We've been working on it for some time, and we will share our videos and our materials with the overall movement. Now, today I want to introduce another collage of videos that were prepared by people young and old from around the world. Basically, it was proposed that people answer three questions, one of three questions. What has inspired you about the People's Health Movement? What is the way forward for the People's Health Movement? And key victories or engagements of the People's Health Movement. So this wonderful collage has been prepared with speakers from different countries from around the world. And I found it very inspiring for myself, and I hope it will be for you. And before I turn it over to the video, I just want to say that when I was a university student, I was introduced to the writings of a doctor from Canada, whose name was Dr. William Osler. And I want to paraphrase what he said, because I think it says a lot about what we're feeling today. When young people have vision, the dreams of the elders come true. I hope that will be true for the People's Health Movement. Thank you. And here's the video.
There is a small announcement before the video starts. The interpretation would cease from now, and everyone can switch off their interpretation. I would request the interpreters to please make the announcement. Emily. thanks to all the interpreters, and please I request all the interpreters to make the, thank you so much for your service, for the interpretation to all the interpreters. It's been great. Thank you so much. Thank you.
On this occasion of 20-year celebration of People's Health Movement, I would like to mention one major achievement of this struggle. As a long struggle with the engagement of People's Health Movement in Nepal, health now has been included in the Constitution of Nepal as a fundamental right of citizen. We consider it as a major achievement of our struggle.
In Latin America, we had a particularly gratifying experience with the Ministry of Health of El Salvador, where we had 8 courses involving health personnel and leaders from the National Health Forum, as well as participants from other Central American countries. It is the only example of an official Ministry of Health partnering with PHM to run these courses.
The campaign for anti-privatization of public health services that was launched by the People's Health Movement resonates well with our campaign for advocating that governments indeed exercise their responsibility to make sure that there are budgets that will make sure that health facilities are adequately equipped, have the correct number of personnel, as well as amount of essential medicines, so that health services would be readily available and accessible to the people.
Depuis 2007, date de sa création, MPS Gabon a mobilisé un ensemble de partenaires techniques et financiers, mais aussi de parties prenantes pour lutter contre l'épidémie de tabagisme au Gabon. Les résultats probants et palpables enregistrés à ce jour constituent une victoire.
The health advocacies and campaigns of our Organization for Nurses' Rights and Welfare have always been in the perspective of attaining people's equitable access to quality health care. FNU believes that empowering nurses, the largest health workforce, is critical in saving lives of millions of Filipinos. Thus, we stand in unity with People's Health Movement as we fight against all forms of injustice and exploitation of people's health and development.
C'est au vu de l'expérience de PHM, au travers plusieurs programmes dans le pays de la région et aussi au niveau global. Cette expérience que nous avons aussi au niveau national, à travers le mouvement national pour le droit à la santé, a convaincu la présidence de la République à nous associer en tant qu'experts, consultants, pour l'élaboration de ce plan stratégique national. Nous nous en félicitons. Et nous pensons que cela pourra être au bénéfice de la population congolaise.
We, as a Zambian cycle, we joined this great movement in the midst of these 20 years. I think, to be specific, it's some good 3-4 years ago. In this 3-4 years ago, which emanates into 20 years, is that we have achieved to be registered and officially being recognized by the Zambian government as required by the Zambian constitution.
In terms of one activity we've been leading on now for a number of years is a Scottish People's Health Manifesto. So an alternative manifesto that you would typically see from a political party that focuses instead on improving the health of our populations and also reducing health inequalities in our society. 2015, 2016, we went through a participatory approach to create a manifesto that we used for campaigning and hosting hustings events. And that has been, of massive use to us in terms of growing the health movement here in Scotland, also getting people just simply to think a little bit differently about health and think about health inequalities.
I came to learn about the People's Health Movement through my university education. Over the last few years, my engagement in various activities of PHM has further deepened my understanding about the structural determinants and helped me to internalize about existing disparities in health. I got to participate in IPHU and World Health Assembly as a watcher, and this has really empowered and capacitated me to analyze the state's health policies and programs with an equity and justice framework. I believe I have inspired many young colleagues in Nepal to struggle to achieve our common mission of health for all. We are continuously engaged in different research and policy debates based on thematic areas of PHM.
Personalmente, desde el 2000 me fui consolidando como una activista más completa, con una visión amplia, integral. Fui entendiendo profundamente la determinación de la salud, política y socialmente, y la importancia del rol de los movimientos sociales para exigir a los gobiernos para que cumplan con sus obligaciones. También aprendí a respetar la sabiduría de los pueblos originarios. Estoy cada vez más convencida de que la salud tiene que estar en manos de los pueblos.
With Viva Salud, we've been part of the People's Health Movement from the very start in 2000. And I must say it has been a fascinating and humbling experience for us. We have learned so much, and we are still learning every day from people who are each in their own place asserting their right to health. And that is also what the PHM is all about. It's about solidarity, mutual support and learning about social movements and people's struggle. Alone, an organization like Viva Salud would be just a very small organization in a small country that's even hard to find on the map. But together with the People's Health Movement, we can make a difference in millions, if not billions of people's lives.
Over the last few years, it's been deeply inspiring. It's been a community and a place to connect with friends and like-minded people. It's been a space to reflect on the root causes of health inequalities and how systems of oppression shape these health inequalities and injustices. And it's been a place to come together and to organise in a participatory way for health justice and to learn from that process and coming together.
PHM has also helped me in a number of ways. It has built a capacity in health activism, not just in my Malawian or African backyard, but also on the international arena. I've managed to also attend the People's Health University. That has also inculcated some sort of skills in me to be able to conduct effective advocacy as regards to health.
For me personally, being part of the People's Health Movement has given me the opportunity to learn most of all, to learn from PHM's very strong analysis, from other activists, and of course to understand how we as individuals and individual organizations can become something much bigger than the sum of our individual actions.
En estos 20 años que llevamos caminando como movimiento,
nos hemos encontrado con muchas maneras de luchar y de construir vida con dignidad, que es como acá entendemos a la salud. Y en estos encuentros y compartires hemos decidido que nuestro camino común nos tiene que llevar a construir eso que acá entendemos como buen vivir en español, pero que en cada lengua originaria de estos territorios tiene su manera también de nombrarse. Pero más importante tal vez sean las maneras en que esto se va viviendo día a día, es decir, construyendo comunidad, procurando el cuidado colectivo de todas las formas de vida y de la madre tierra, fortaleciendo y enriqueciéndonos con las diversidades que llenan de colores la vida, aprendiendo y compartiendo de los saberes y prácticas de los pueblos originarios de estos territorios y haciéndolos crecer con los diferentes saberes de otras partes del mundo.
Creo que para el futuro tenemos que mejorar la comunicación de nuestras redes entre los países, entre los continentes, y tal vez el plan estratégico puede asistirnos en esa tarea, porque merecemos un mundo con más alegría, amor y solidaridad.
Why does being poor still make the difference to fully access healthcare or not? How can we still be facing the threat of privatization after the solution for healthcare have already proven themselves weaker to meet people's needs and much more expensive than public healthcare? How can we be destroying ourselves by destroying nature, our home? As much time as this and so many other questions remain unanswered, there will be need for struggling for right to health. And there is where PHM Brazil should be, and PHM as a global community.
We are facing a major public health crisis at present. We all know that COVID-19 has revealed the weaknesses and brokenness of many health systems throughout the world. This is especially true for countries who have continued to neglect the people's health because of neoliberalization and political agendas. Health inequities reveal themselves every day in this pandemic, from proper access to testing, treatment, and soon even vaccination, all while access to essential care continues to plague even the poorest of the poor. May the People's Health Movement foster solidarity to once again reclaim the people's rights. Let us assert that health services should never be made for profit, especially during a pandemic. Now is the time to demand for health for all, as well as free, comprehensive, and accessible care for everyone as the better normal after this public health crisis.
I think we need to more intentionally and more deeply build those connections and relationships across different struggles. And in that way we can build power for justice for both people and planet.
Many decades, and in the last 20 years together in the global network of the People's Health Movement.
Unfortunately, this important struggle has not become less urgent over these years as neoliberal policies and corporate interests continued undermining this fundamental human right.
The corona pandemic has shown once more the urgency to raise our voices jointly from the global south and the global north, as we have done with our call Patents Kill, and now supporting the important initiative for a TRIPS waiver as one crucial element to ensure equitable and universal access to safe and effective medical tools and to put people before profits.
Needless to say that our common struggles reaches far beyond the purely medical aspects, insisting on the relevance of the social determinants of health as a basic precondition to achieve a state of complete physical, mental and social well-being as enshrined in the WHO Constitution and the Alma Ata Declaration of 1978. We hereby reinforce our commitment to struggle jointly for the much needed fundamental system change to achieve health for all.
For the future, we must continue to develop skills and commitment of young people to take on the challenges of the struggle for health. Health for all now.
Santé pour tous maintenant.
Dear colleagues, comrades, friends of the People's Health Movement, congratulations for 20 years of struggle for the right to health for all.
Cheers to all PHM members on its celebration of 20th anniversary.
In solidarity.
So the struggle continues, and congratulations to the People's Health Movement.
Salud para todos ya. Viva People's Health Movement. Viva el movimiento por la salud de los pueblos.
Wow. That was fantastic. And thank you everyone who contributed. I loved putting people before profits. Viva the People's Health Movement, reminding us of the importance of alegria, which is joy in life. I think that's really important. And I thought we were going to get through the whole webinar without mentioning COVID. But of course, we mentioned COVID in the video. And just to remind everybody that one of our big projects at the moment is a project called Equal Access to COVID Technology. So PHM is really working to ensure that vaccines are available to everyone in the world, and the treatments, which is really a big issue, of course, for us all at the moment. So we've come to the end. And just before I hand over to Sundar, I'd just like to also acknowledge that Bridget Lloyd, who was our global coordinator in South Africa, is online. She has very weak internet connection, so she wasn't able to speak, but I'd just like to acknowledge Bridget and all the work she's done for PHM. And I'd like to thank our Indian Secretariat, Sundar, Gagaya, Deepika, for planning this event and putting a lot of work into making this happen, because it is a big thing to do. So thanks to you. And then all I have to do now is hand over to Sundar, who is our current global coordinator, and he's going to do a vote of thanks for everyone who's contributed till tonight. And just thank you all for coming. It's been a very heartwarming occasion. It's, I think it has connected us around the globe in a just wonderful way. So over to you, Sundar, and Viva People's Health Movement.
Viva. Thank you, Fran. And it's been the most amazing program. And we've reasonably kept to time. I was really afraid about that. We at best about 5 minutes behind time. I begin by thanking all our activists and allies across the world who have been able to participate. I counted personally more than 30 countries from across all the continents who had participated in the event. And this was really amazing. It's a very good participation. And for some of you, it's terribly early in the morning. And for some of you, it's almost midnight. I think it's reaching midnight for you at Adelaide. So at some point, we have people for good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, it's somewhere there. I also particularly would like to extend our greetings and thanks to Suvit, who accepted at such short notice and who has really inspired us with this presentation. And all the other panelists, Hani, Sulakshana, yourself, Ravi, Maria, Pakome, who made all these good introductions and kept everybody informed on this. From the Secretariat, would particularly like to thank Gargaya and Deepika, who put this together, both the communications part and communicating it across the globe, and for their coordination and stitching together the video. Particularly like to mention Samar, Suresh, Abu, Prasanna and Ravi from the Sochara team for putting together that marvelous video. There has been lots of requests for that video already, so I hope it's not under copyright and will be freely available on the YouTube as soon as it's done. In fact, there are some IPHU programs ongoing or coming up which I have asked for that. And then we have Arun Kumar from PHM to thank for the 20 years logo, Sebastian for the country partner videos, and also countries and networks, Viva Salud and Medico International for helping us on this. and for putting together these videos. It's a difficult job. And a number of people who helped in translation, Maria, Susana, Matthias, Pacome, Hani, etc. And of course, on the songs, Chiara, definitely, and Sarojini and the Sama team of Ritika and Abhiti, who have done a great job with that, put a celebratory atmosphere onto the event in a more explicit way. And to our larger organization, Viva Salud and Sama, who have played at the global level and at secretariat level the financial hosts for a number of years now. So once again, thanking everybody for making this a great event. I am sure that in many countries and in many regions, this 20 years PHM would be a year-long celebration. There is a logo that we have circulated, which we request you to attach to your communications, your policy briefs, your different outputs, so that people can be reminded upon it. So this is really great, and it must be late for all of you. So without much more ado, I thank everyone. I hope I have not left out anybody in this. The interpreters also need to be particularly thanked for this, and thank you all for making this such a great and memorable event. Thank you.
So I think that's, folks, and we'll all wave goodbye and connect. And so thank you, everybody. Great event.
Do we end with slogans?
Come on then, Deepika, you can lead us.
Lead it. Okay, English one. I'll say health for all now, okay. Health for all now.
Health for all
Health
now.
for all now.
Now.
Okay. The idiom has to catch on. It's okay. Right. Right. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Well done.
Yes, I forgot to introduce Hani.